Hi, this is Nanette Hosenfeld with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Sunday, June 18th, 2017. There's quite a bit to talk about for this week. A lot going on, as you can see from this map. First, we'll start with the temperatures. They will rapidly warm this week, and we will see near record temperatures that will cause our fuels to cure more quickly than normal. So you can see that's kind of the pinker shade on the map across about the southern two-thirds of the Great Basin, and that's today through Wednesday, depending on where you are. The other concern is isolated thunderstorms. Those will develop over the Sierra today and then spread to the higher terrain of northern Nevada and Utah Monday through Wednesday. These thunderstorms will then move into southern Nevada and Utah on Thursday. Beyond the lightning and the heat, we are also concerned about gusty winds and low relative humidity across the northern half of the Great Basin on Thursday. Over the past 24 hours, really not much in the way of precipitation across the Great Basin. You can see some really light accumulations across portions of Idaho, and nothing at all as far as lightning. Looking at fire activity, things are definitely picking up. We have 7 new fires, 76 ongoing fires across the Great Basin. Over the past 30 days, it's been quite dry across the southern portions of the Great Basin. You can see this observed precipitation map on the left. Really not much in the way of precipitation across the south. If we look at how this precipitation compares to normal, you can see really pretty much the entire Great Basin has been below normal over the past month. So drier than normal over the past month with some hotter periods, and we are starting to see fuels dry out. This year across the Great Basin, we have well above normal fine fuel loading. You can see highlighted on the map the areas of the Great Basin that are reporting fine fuels well above normal. This is both in loading and continuity across much of the lower and mid elevations. These fine fuels have been the main driving force of fire spread in the shaded area early this fire season. One concern we have is that with the very hot temperatures and dry conditions forecast for the next week, we will see these fine fuels rapidly dry out. Sagebrush fuel moisture will also continue to trend downwards. Looking at the ERCs, they are well above the 80th percentile across the southern part of the Great Basin, lower across the north, but we will see those continue to rise over the next few days with the hotter, drier weather. Live fuel moisture also continues its downward trend. It is still a bit above normal across some of the northern portions of the Great Basin, but it is approaching normal, and it is on the downward trend across the entire area. Looking at this satellite today, you can see high pressure across the western portion of the United States, and that will slowly move overhead, bringing the hot and dry conditions we've been discussing. So looking at the upper weather pattern today, you can see this high pressure that showed up in the satellite loop, and also some drier conditions across the Great Basin. The main concern we're highlighting today is exceptionally hot conditions across the southern part of the Great Basin, and you can see those areas of concern highlighted in the orange here on our significant fire potential map. Looking in more detail at the weather today, you can see pretty low relative humidities across the south, generally under 15% across the lower elevations of the southern half of the Great Basin. The good news is that it won't be too windy today, pretty light winds, as you can see here from the forecast wind gust map on the right. Moving into Monday, that high pressure shifts overhead, and we also see some moisture sneaking in underneath that ridge. With that increase in moisture, there is concern for lightning. You can see this red highlighted area on our significant fire potential map is where we are concerned about lightning on Monday. Now, most of these storms will be wet. There's enough moisture that they will be accompanied with rain, but there is still concern for some ignitions with those storms tomorrow. A secondary concern is also the heat tomorrow, as that will continue to dry out those fine fuels. Looking in more detail at Monday, you can see from this relative humidity forecast that our relative humidities continue to drop well below 10% across much of the southern part of the Great Basin. But again, tomorrow, pretty light winds with that high pressure overhead. As we move into Tuesday, that ridge begins to shift east. That will allow the moisture in place underneath the ridge to shift east. And so as we move into Tuesday, there is concern across portions of northwestern Utah for that lightning risk, as well as, again, across those portions of northern Nevada. The heat concern continues into Tuesday, and again, the southern parts of the Great Basin are highlighted for that heat concern due to the drying fuels on Tuesday. And looking again in a little more detail at the forecast for Tuesday, really low relative humidities across the south into the single digits across much of the lower elevations of the southern Great Basin. And again, luckily, another day of pretty light winds. The only exception to that would be if you're near a thunderstorm, you could see some gusty winds from that thunderstorm. Over the next 3 days, really not much in the way of precipitation. The exception to that is across the Sierra Nevadas, but really quite dry over the next 3 days across the Great Basin. As we move into Wednesday, that ridge has flattened out. We will see another day with lightning concerns. They shift a little further east again on Wednesday with that ridge flattening out, and the concern is across the northern half of Utah, far eastern Nevada for lightning on Wednesday. Again, it'll be quite hot across the south, and so we are looking at another day of concerning heat across the south on Wednesday. As we move into Thursday, we start to see a little bit of drier air coming into the north. That will push the threat south for lightning. We're not highlighting it yet on the map, but there is concern for Thursday across southern Nevada and southern Utah and the Arizona Strip for those thunderstorms on Thursday. Also of concern on Thursday is wind. We are looking at winds beginning to increase across the north on Thursday as that system drops down into the area. And as we move into Friday, that low pressure system will move to the north and east, and we could see another windy day on Friday. On Saturday, we see drier conditions across the Great Basin. You can see that drier orange color on the map across much of the Great Basin on Saturday. So not much of a threat of thunderstorms as we're looking at it right now, moving into Saturday. So in the 7-day period, again, quite dry, not a lot of precipitation across the Great Basin in the next 7 days. Finally, in the 8 to 14 day period, we are looking at above normal temperatures across the southern 2/3 of the Great Basin and below normal precipitation across much of the area. So this continuation of hotter, drier conditions will allow those fields to continue to cure out. So that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. You can also find us on Twitter. Thanks.